Hello. You guys, I'm so excited for today's topic. This is a big one. It's very relevant, you guys. Even if you're not undergoing a renovation right now, this is a majorly important discussion, and I encourage you to bookmark this and save it for later because inevitably you may renovate your home, or you probably will know someone who's going to renovate their home. So let's all be responsible and helpful. And I really, truly hope you enjoy this. I've done a lot of preparation. This actually goes back a few years, which I'm very excited about. So for those of you who have no idea who I am, my name is Leanne. I'm an interior designer in North County, San Diego, about 40 minutes from the airport. I have been doing this for 7 years. I don't know. I started in 2017. So whatever year it is now, there you go. I've worked with clients in 9 different states so far and growing. So I'm really excited to share my own personal knowledge with you in doing this for our rental properties over the years, but then also working with clients on the design side. And then at the beginning of COVID, if you guys have been with me that long, I actually reached out to several authors on the topic of improving your home, and I wanted to give back in a virtual series. It didn't cost anything, and it was just really great information to kind of help folks through staying in their homes like 24/7 and teaching people how to make it better. So I interviewed 21 different authors, and today's topic is specifically referencing my interview with author Jim Molinelli, who is known as the remodeling professor. I actually have linked our interview in the description notes, so you can reference that. I would lean into the second half, especially because I'm not going to go into as much detail in this video, just so that you know that. I've also linked his website where you can find links to his books to purchase on Amazon. And then also he does have courses as well. Not here to sell things at all, but I will tell you, if you're looking to undergo a renovation just due to the intense cost of it and the importance of it, I really will encourage you to be prepared. So today's talk is going to help you to do that. I'm going to go through several slides and topics so that you are going to be much more well equipped, and it's going to take all the guesswork out of it in a simple way. So I'm really super excited to share this all with you. I see a couple of people have hopped on. Welcome. If you want to hop into the chat, it's always open, you guys. Tonight I have my non-alcoholic white wine. Let me know where you guys are coming from and what you're drinking tonight. And I want to quickly ask, can you guys hear me okay? Because I'm trying out this new microphone. This is my third one, and I haven't found a winner yet. I'm hoping this is the one. This is actually on my vision board, but sound is super important for production. So, okay, a couple more people hopping on. Let me know in the chat. Have you done a renovation in the last 5 years? I'm super interested to know. While you guys think about that, I'm gonna start to share my screen. Actually, before I do that, hi. I'm looking forward to this. We have talked about renovating our bathroom, but we've heard horror stories about contractors. Yes, it can happen. So rest assured, this isn't going to be the end all be all as far as like how to prepare for renovation, but I can guarantee you this is probably a lot more information than what you may otherwise equip yourself with. So it's going to definitely be a great starting point. Some people are serial renovators. Some people will take on a renovation maybe once a decade, maybe once a lifetime. Oh, you've done a renovation. Okay, a full house renovation. Okay. So how did that go? I'm super curious. Like, share, if you guys want to share your experiences. Did you love your contractor? Was everything smooth? Like, I'm sure things happen, but, curious to know what all that looked like. Okay, so when you're thinking about a renovation, how do you know when it's the right time to actually do it? I know as a designer, like I'll talk to folks and people will be like, we've been thinking about this for a couple years and we just really haven't pulled the trigger. And there's just kind of like a lot of questioning. Okay, so you had a bad experience at first, awful contractor. Okay, that can happen. That's actually sadly more common than you would think. Okay, then you found a good one who saved you. Thank goodness. Like that person's definitely a hero. So I would say the right time is when you think of it, because ideally what you're going to want to do is be able to enjoy the end result for as long as possible. Like that's really your payoff. Like you're definitely, if you end up selling your home, you'll recover a good amount of that, but really your best payoff is going to be actually living in the space. So what is your motivation for a renovation? It could be that you just want to do it. Maybe, your neighbor or friend or family member just renovated their kitchen and you're like, they're super happy. It looks amazing. Now I'm looking at my own home and I'm just really not that thrilled with it. So, that could be motivator. It could be a need. Maybe there was an emergency or maybe, pipe burst and you have a flood or, maybe there was a fire in the home. By the way, I've encountered both of those things in my properties over the years. Super fun. Or maybe things are just breaking down and you're like, what, these things are at their end of life. Like it's really, truly time. Okay. Yeah. So that's what you're scared of, is how to avoid a nightmare scenario with a contractor. Okay. Yeah. I don't blame you. This is a very serious thing. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning. And what I usually experience as a designer with my clients is it all starts with that feeling of excitement. And what are we doing? We're online, looking at house, looking at Pinterest, getting inspiration. We're looking at magazines. We're on HGTV, like all the things. It's all kind of like, just like that warm and fuzzy feeling. And then all of a sudden the reality sets in and a little bit of doubt. And you're like, can I handle this? What do I do? Who do I call? Why would I call this person and not that person? Like, who do I even ask? Where do I begin? And the truth is, like, without proper preparation, success is literally a coin flip and it could go either way. But something to really remember is who's going to benefit when the project is a success? At the end of the day, it's you, right? Who is going to be affected if the project gets derailed and goes wrong? Definitely you. So again, like what I want to lean into, I've probably already said it a few times, is so many folks, unfortunately, either come into it underprepared or not prepared at all. And I will tell you, in a lot of cases, people will spend more time and energy searching for information on like buying a new vacuum or a stove as compared to like figuring out who the right professional is to work with. So with that being said, I'm going to share my screen, you guys, and we are going to roll right in. Let me just hop back and see. Yep. Okay. This is good. How's the sound, by the way? This is usually where things go awry. I'm super interested to listen to this on playback because I don't know. I think there's like an interesting sound feedback from just sharing my screen on YouTube, and I need to figure out how to solve that. Can you guys hear me okay though? Give me a thumbs up. Oh, thumbs up the video if you're here, by the way. Thumbs up the video if you can hear me. Okay, you can hear me great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Okay, you guys, super excited about this because I know it's going to be helpful, and that's what I'm here for. So present. Okay, so this is how to hire a contractor, week number 8 in the series. This will tell you what to look out for as you plan to refresh your home in the upcoming year or beyond. This is timeless. This information is timeless. Okay, so number 1, you're going to want to think about hiring your contractor as if they work for you as your employee. So if any of you have been managers like myself, you've definitely conducted interviews and prepared for that process. Your contractor is going to work with you for a decent amount of time. And in many cases, they could be collecting the equivalent of a year's salary from you, which is something to think. Some hiring questions to consider, and this is definitely something to take note of. What expertise do they need for this particular project? How much related experience should they have? What qualifications should they have? How much money are you willing to pay them? What are the actual job requirements? And what time restraints are you going to put on them? So you can see how this definitely can relate back to a job interview. And all of a sudden now we have this whole lineup of questions that's going to give us a lot of valuable information to create an outline. Now we have a starting point, right? Notice, by the way, I haven't asked my neighbor, I haven't asked my sister, I haven't asked my colleague, I haven't asked my designer who I should work with, right? Starting off by myself in my corner office as the boss. So another thing to consider is your project budget, okay? What you want to do, first of all, I'm going to tell you, people never know what these things cost. And as we know, the price of things is consistently increasing all the time. But here's what I'll say about that. Don't let that scare you off from deciding on something, because what you want to do is have in your head a number that you're able to pay and a number that you're willing to pay. And here's what happens. Like, maybe you don't have all the education, you don't know exactly what's realistic, but if it does come in too low, you can either edit the scope of the project and cut back on certain parts. You can break the project into phases, or you could be creative and pull money from somewhere else. I will say, so that's an important thing to consider also, which you will find in my interview with Jim, is sometimes it's interesting for the contractor to know, or important for the contractor to know, where the money's coming from, because they can charge differently depending. So that's something I didn't necessarily know on my own. So just something to keep in mind. Okay, what will make your project a success? So everyone's different. Every project is unique. Everyone's answer to this is going to be its own, right? It's important to dive into this so you can use it as a guide to start as you select your contractor. You're going to identify your project needs and wants with regard to design and the actual visual and functional outcome, but also, like I said before, financially, and then also time-wise. Those are really the key factors there. So truly, you're going to have great rapport with your ideal contractor, and they're going to share your same visions, same goals, and you're going to be able to work effectively together as part of a team. And really, it should be an enjoyable experience. That is the goal. So we already have our list, and we have an idea of, what will make our project a success. Now it's time, you guys, to start to obtain recommendations. So you can check in with your network of people that you know, or your designer, to, let's pay attention to this, find out who's done great work for them on a comparable project, and take a look at their final results in person. That is really ideal and key. So you're not going to want to hire someone that, let's say, does painting, and then all of a sudden they're going to install your floors, for example. Do your research always. If you're like most savvy buyers these days, you've likely narrowed your buying decision before making your first phone call. But I will advise you to kind of skip over sites like HomeAdvisor, Angie, and Thumbtack, because I will tell you from even personal experience that they do not require much from pros to use their platform. So always be super careful with that. That's not going to be enough just because they're on those platforms. It's not going to be enough of proof that they're going to be, effective contractors on your project. I feel like this happens every time that my computer just spontaneously almost dies during this. So anyway, we're safe again. We're good. Okay. Hone in on experts. So, again, like, this is something to consider. Like, if you're doing a flooring project, for example, you want to work with a flooring installer. If you're doing a roofing project, you want to work with a roofing expert, right? So why do we do this? they've seen all the problems that you're going to come across, right? In these types of scenarios. They've solved all those problems, right? So nothing's really going to surprise them. So that also makes them more efficient because they know how to work through the problems. They've done it before, and their pricing is going to be more accurate because they know what it takes projects. I just keep checking on you guys. How are you doing so far? Everybody went quiet. That's okay. I know this is a lot to take in. Are you guys liking it so far? Don't be quiet. It's good. All right. Okay, so let's move forward in obtaining multiple quotes. So you may have a list of, I don't know, 8 people, what have you. I would narrow it down to probably obtaining maybe 3 quotes, okay? Because then it's going to be less overwhelming. You're going to pull the best from your list of 8, let's say, or 7, or pick a number, right? Here's why you want to do this. You may already know who you want to work with. Like, you may already know, this is exactly the look that I want. I know someone personally who has worked with this person, and they have an excellent experience. They have great references and all of that. Go through the process of obtaining multiple quotes because everyone's going to bring up different points and different ideas. So this is going to supply you with more education, and then you can take all of that and actually pass it on to the contractor that you end up working with. So it can only help to get the information. Okay, the next thing you're going to do, this is really important as well. Don't just trust the one person. You want to request references, and this is especially important if this is not a personal recommendation. So if no one has referred you to a trusted pro and you're kind of going in blindly, you're going to ask the contractor for references when they send along their quote. Here's why. Half the time, you're going to find that these references are well-meaning family. Oh, sorry, you're going to call them. Did I forget to say call them? You got to call them. Half the time, you're going to find that their references are well-meaning family members or friends rather than happy customers. I know personally, when I was super young, I hired a painter for one of our rentals, and their reference that had written a review for them on Google was actually their paint supplier. Like, of course, they're going to give them a 5-star review because they're buying paint from them. Like, you can't get any more silly than that. So, you know, when you call these references, you're going to want to get a clear idea of what it was like to work with them start to finish. And I would even dive in and ask, like, you know, did anything go wrong on the project? How was that handled? How quickly? How professionally? Things like that. Another thing that I wanted to mention, for me, it's like the one thing I look out for when I work with people or I have them represent me is like, it's like 3 C's. It's I can't remember what I wrote, but it was like it'll come to me, I'm sure, and I feel like I wrote it somewhere, but I don't have it. I'll write them down in the description. Here's why I love this, is I can always add things later in the notes, and then we'll look back on it. But it is like another thing to consider as well when you're working with people, like how considerate are they? How professional are they? Are they prompt even to your initial meeting? When you call, do they call you right back? Things like that. That's also a key factor in selecting someone to work with, because if they're already a pain in the butt before you've even hired them, chances are that's an indication of how the project's going to go. Okay, nail down the important things. Here's what we're going to do, and this actually is a real world thing that I just ran into this week and last week. You need to verify appropriate license, bond, and insurance information. Sometimes you can't even take their word for it because they're going to tell you whatever they think you want to hear. And I've also come across some cases where they're being represented by an alternative company. So if something happens, they can lean on that. Like, honestly, it's a bit sketch. You want to be working directly with the company who is licensed and bonded and has insurance, because if and when something goes wrong, you need to have that covered. Like, if, for example, I keep going back to flooring because that's just top of mind right now, and that's the project I'm working on. Let's say all the flooring's warping or there's something wrong with the product. Maybe it's peeling. I don't know, right? To rip everything out and replace it is going to be quite costly. And what they say always is the most expensive project you do is the project that you have to do twice. So don't do it twice. Make sure you're covered. Clearly understand and obtain in writing details around the scope of work, the schedule, and the cost. If you nail down those three things, even just those three things, you can then hold your contractor accountable. So we want those in writing. Hopping back to see you guys. This is great info. I wish I had this before we did our run-up. I know, I'm really sorry. Better late than never. I'm sure you'll renovate at some point again in your life. So definitely keep this in your back pocket. And like I said, bookmark it. Super. Okay. Ask the right questions. So this is with your contractor. You're going to do this in order to prove that you're knowledgeable. So they're going to be less likely to try and get one over on you. That's just unfortunately the case. Some people are like that. Sometimes it's hard to tell. Okay. Now, let's say, your ideal contractor or who you think you're going to hire has presented you with a contract. You're going to scour that contract in detail. Maybe have someone else look at it too. Make sure the details are spelled out in all paperwork that is legally binding. This will protect you when something goes wrong. You need to have your butt covered. I know personally who actually just settled a lawsuit years later with their contractor that just literally just took off halfway through the project. Absolutely heartbreaking for them. Like, I wouldn't wish that on anyone, especially they're such nice people. It's just terrible that people are out there that do this, but it's definitely a real thing, so you've got to be careful. Last thing that I will say is expect issues. And I always tell people this when I work on design projects, like even if I'm doing a furnishings project, you got to know things are coming, like even from my perspective, things are going to come in broken, things are going to get delayed. Maybe, we upholstered a chair and it didn't come out exactly how we thought. And so we're going to have to fix these things, right? You're going to be in expecting that things are going to go wrong. It's going to take the angst out of it, and you're not going to be caught off guard, and it's going to be less stressful. You're going to say, okay, I saw that coming. And the point is that you hired an outstanding professional who will be excellent at handling the issue and solving it for you. As a client, if you've done your work thoroughly, you should have a professional in your corner who's handling all this and taking it off of your plate so you don't have to worry about it. That's just something that I always tell my clients. It's my job to take all the headaches away from you. It's your job to do what you do best at your job and with your family, and that's it. So let me see if there's anything else that I wrote. I think that's it. Really fast. What do you guys think? I never want to be in that situation. I know. It's really, really terrible. But like I said, now you know. So all this information, like I said, you can always reference back with this video. It's going to be here in the lives. We have a whole series of live videos, so you can always reference it. Like I said, visit Jim's website if you want to dive more into it. He wrote, I think, a couple of books. They were on the bestsellers list for a while. Oh, I agree. A lot went wrong, even with our good contractor. Yeah. So what kinds of things came up? Do you want to share? I'm super curious. It's just super common that things do happen, but, again, like when you're working with a good person and you're working with a professional, they really will stand by their work and stand by their name and make sure that, everything gets completed and it's quality and you're happy. That's the thing. We always want our clients to be happy at the end. Let me jog my memory. Okay. So check out Jim's website. And like I said, there is that interview of when we talked even more in depth on how to hire a contractor. He was an architect as well. He's worked with folks for decades. So some great information there. I would love it, you guys, if you made it this far. if you would like the video. If you are new here and you haven't joined us yet, please subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. We really appreciate the support in pushing these videos out to more people, especially this one. This will help so many people in such a big way. And yeah, we'd love to have you part of our community. It's growing every day. It's super exciting. And next week, we're going to hop in to another room layout. I already do have someone. I don't actually know what kind of room it is, so I can't speak to that. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So I'm not seeing anything else come through in the chat, but I appreciate you guys joining me so much. I hope that you had fun and that you learned something. And as always, we will see you next week.